Hi, I'm Gary. I'm the creator of Island Golf, a game for the iPad and iPhone. And I've created many other games. My company is CleverMedia, and this is the latest game for me. Let me take you through it, show you how it works, give you some tips for playing, then maybe talk a little bit about the design and some of the origins for the game. So basically, every day is a new course. So it's generated every day, 18 different holes, although they follow a basic pattern. For instance, this first hole will always be pretty short and simple. So I'm going to take a shot here and let's see if I can get reasonably close to the hole. I'm going to overshoot it by a bit. Try to get it back in. And there we go, made it in two. So that's how each hole works. Now, the biggest mistake people make, and this is part of the tutorial and also in the instructions, is people think that you need to tap where the ball is and go back from there. But you really can't get very far back that way. So you usually can't shoot all the way to the hole. You can tap anywhere on the screen. I'm going to tap off to the right, and now I have a lot of space. I can put all the way back and take a full swing. So you just got to remember that, especially on this initial shot, to take your swing elsewhere. Don't take it right where the ball is. Now that we're here, it does kind of help sometimes to tap near the ball to give yourself a better idea of the direction of the ball. You can see on the last shot, I was close enough to the green there that it zoomed in for me so I can take a more accurate shot to get to the hole. It does take some practice. Not only practicing on the game itself, but each day with the new course. To get your highest score, usually you need to play a few times, get the hang of each hole. Now there are different things that you have to avoid. Obviously you've got the nice cut grass of the fairway in the middle there. You've got the rougher grass, and then you've got the trees. And the ball bounces differently on each one. Of course, you've got the green. You've got the sand traps, and I'm going to see if I can get into a sand trap here to show you. So I'm right behind one. So you can see right there I hit a tree. You can see the tree shaking a bit. So if I get into the sand trap here, now to get out of it I'm going to have to do a pretty powerful swing that's going to actually lift the ball more up in the air. And you can see I just missed the hole there. You actually get two sets of ahs or boos. One is when you finish a shot and it's really close to the hole, and another one when you fly over the hole pretty close. If you're too high up above the hole, you don't get it. But if you just basically miss, then you get that audible ah from the crowd. And you get cheers if you make it in par or under par. Now water on the island works this way. If you get into the water, the ball goes back to the edge where the ball crossed into the water, and you get penalized a stroke. If you hit into the ocean, you go back to where you started that shot, but it doesn't penalize you a stroke. Now there's those little graphics on each hole, like there's a little tiki there. There's a set of about 25 graphics, and I just put them on there. You don't really do anything with them. They just look nice, and you have to avoid them. The ball won't go through them. Now when you're in trees like this, it's a really good idea not to try to hit through the trees, because you'll be able to do it, but it may take two shots here. It's better to maybe get off to the side and then continue moving towards the hole. Many times there's just no way to even try to reach that green on that first shot. So instead, position the ball after the first shot so you can get to the green the next time. if you do have a clear shot to the hole from the tee, it is possible to get a hole-in-one, but very difficult because you have to get both the power and your aim perfect. And here I'm stuck on the sand. And so close. So in the design of the game, I started off without this whole island concept, and I was generating random fairways using algorithms. And it was just green all around. So you had the fairway up the middle, you had a bunch of trees, and it just looked like a normal golf course. And then I got the idea of putting the blue ocean around and making so that you can't play the ball off the ocean. So that gave it this island look to it. And I further refined that. I think that's kind of a neat look for the entire thing and kind of give a theme to it. Also, I didn't intend to make multiple island holes like this one, but in experimenting with the algorithm, it kind of made a mistake and divided the fairway up in such a way that there were multiple islands, and so I went with it and I improved on the mistake to make these holes, which are a little more challenging. One of the things that makes them more challenging is that often if you try to get the ball so it lands just by the green, the only way to do that would be to bounce the ball where the ocean is. So there's no way to do it. For instance, here I'm pretty sure I could make it all the way across. So I will do that maximum strength all the way across. You see where the ball hit there? If the ocean had been a little further away, that hit would have been in the ocean, and it would have been no way to actually get the ball over the ocean without it also missing the green completely. It would have gone across the green. So I had to choose either come up short, like for instance here, I'll just choose to lay the ball right around there. So now my second shot I can do much better. Oh, and second shot actually went through the trees there. So I'm going to have to be a little more careful. And that one fell short. So this is illustrating my point perfectly. You can see I have to go a little bit harder to get across. These holes are definitely challenging, and this is where it really pays to play the same hole, the same course over and over to get better so that you can get your best score of the day. The way the high score works is it's a new high scoreboard every day. And you compete with that day's high scoreboard. We'll get to that when we get to the end of the game here. Now, this isn't my first game like this. My first game like this I actually created way back in 1996, 97, around there. And it was a game that you played on the web called Pretty Good Golf. And this was one of my first successes as an independent game developer. Not only was the game pretty popular online, but I was able to license it to companies like Budweiser. There was an early golf internet startup and a few other places. And that game was very primitive compared to this. Pixel graphics and very simple fairways that each one had to be designed specifically, although we did design them to be similar to real fairways. So, for instance, you could play Augusta or whatever. And that game also, while it was simpler in a lot of ways, it was more complex in that you had to choose your club, there was a wind indicator, and there was a very complex swing indicator where you set the aim and then you also had to swing and then click the mouse at two different points of the swing to actually make your shot, and it could slice, for instance, if you were too early and things like that. So I haven't worked, there were several versions of that game, probably the last one around 1999, and then since then have not really worked on any game like that, but was thinking of that game recently and decided I could make a really cool version of it now as an app. add some neat things into it. Ended up being this island type game. And if you look, even there's details like those little palm trees. Notice everyone is different. They're all procedurally generated palm trees, because I'm not really an artist, but I do like programming. So I created a little way to make palm tree graphics, so everyone's a little bit different. I'll sync this last one here. And pretty poor score for me, but of course I'm talking at the same time. And you could see it gives you the summary there, gives you your final score, and there's a submit button at the bottom. I'll hit submit, but it won't matter because I already have a better score today. Go back to the menu and I look at the top scores. You can see it's just me there today so far. The game hasn't been released yet as of February 1st. I hope to have it next week or the week after. You can hit the more button to go back to the previous day, and you can keep hitting more and go and look. That's important because, of course, if you were trying really hard and you had one of the top scores and you decided you wanted to check in the morning to see if you ended up at the top spot yesterday, you could go and hit the more button and go back, and you can even go previous day and everything like that. You get your best score at the bottom there, so if you don't even care about the high scores, you just want to improve your score, you've got that. And that's the basics of how the game works. It takes a lot of practice to get really good at it. I would envision there will be players that will be able to get scores in the 30s, maybe occasionally a score below 30 with a few holes and ones if you play enough and you really figure out which holes you can get holes and ones on, and a 2 on the rest. You should be able to do really well. So give it a go. Just look for it, Island Golf. I'll include a link here in the description once the game launches.